Today, we are going deep, literally. We're talking about Deep Dive Dubai, the Guinness World Record holder for the deepest swimming pool on the entire planet. But, the story behind how it was built is honestly just as dramatic as the pool is deep. It involves a last-minute crisis that almost sunk the whole project before a single drop of water was ever put in.
Okay, just imagine this for a second. You've spent 3 long years on a massive, back-breaking construction project. Your one and only goal? To smash a world record. Then you get the news. A secret competitor, halfway across the world, has just opened their own pool, and it matches your record-breaking depth to the exact meter. What do? Well, that's the nightmare scenario that hit the Deep Dive Dubai team, and really, that's where our story kicks off.
So to really get this project, you've got to get Dubai. This is a city that loves to think big. We're talking about a place with over 425 Guinness World Records. This pool was no different. It was the vision of Dubai's Crown Prince, Sheikh Hamdan, who wanted to add another spectacular world-first attraction to the city's already legendary list.
But this vision wasn't just about being the deepest pool in the world. It was also about celebrating culture. See, long before there was oil, Dubai's entire economy was built on pearl diving. So the Crown Prince wanted a design that would really honor that history. And the result was this incredible concept, a building shaped like a giant open seashell, a beautiful tribute to the region's past.
The design was ambitious, sure, but the engineering? That was on another level. Now, the easy way to build a 45-meter deep pool would be to, build a 45-meter tall building and just fill it with water. But for a real world record diving pool, you have to build it in the ground. And that one decision, to dig down instead of build up, is what kicked off a whole series of absolutely monumental engineering challenges.
Yeah, just preparing the site turned into this multi-year war against the elements. First, they spent 2 months building this massive concrete barrier. It's called a diaphragm wall, just to stop the ground from caving in. But then only 8 meters down, they hit a huge problem: groundwater, a ton of it. For the next 2 years, as they kept digging, they had to run these enormous pumps 24/7 just to stop the whole site from flooding. The first 3 years were spent just creating and sealing an empty hole in the ground.
And just to give you a sense of the scale here, during that initial dig, the team had to haul out 45,000 tons of material. That is an unbelievable amount of earth to move. And after all that time, all that effort, disaster struck.
So, after 3 years of literally fighting the earth itself, the team gets hit with news that must have felt like a bolt from the blue. See, projects like this are often kept super secret, so they had no idea what was being built elsewhere. And that secrecy, well, it was about to cost them pretty much everything.
Right as they were finishing their 45-meter deep shaft, a facility called Deep Spot opened its doors in Poland. And its depth? You guessed it, exactly 45 meters. In a single moment, their world record was gone. The entire reason for the project had just vanished. Poof. The order came straight from the top, from the Crown Prince himself: go deeper. The new goal was 60 meters. But this wasn't as simple as just digging another 15 meters. Going that much deeper created a brand new massive physics problem that threatened to literally tear the entire structure right out of the ground.
I know, it sounds completely absurd, doesn't it? A giant concrete pool just popping out of the ground. But the threat was very, very real. With all that groundwater pushing up from below, the huge, empty concrete structure was basically behaving like a giant hollow boat. The danger was that it could literally float right up out of the earth.
Now, this invisible enemy has a name: buoyancy force. It's the exact same force that makes a ship float or makes it so hard to push a beach ball underwater. The engineers had already calculated this force for the 45-meter depth, but at 60 meters, the upward force was going to be way, way too strong to handle.
The engineers themselves came up with the perfect analogy. Think of the whole 60-meter deep structure as a big, sealed plastic bottle. Now try to hold that bottle at the bottom of a full bathtub. The second you let go, the water pressure forces it right back to the surface, right? Well, that's what they were up against, except on the scale of a skyscraper.
Their solution, though, was absolutely brilliant, and it came in 2 parts. First, they decided that the extra 15-meter shaft at the bottom would be narrower. A smaller diameter meant less surface area, which meant less total upward push from the water. Second, they drilled even deeper below the structure to install these massive anchors that physically locked the pool's foundation to the earth, making sure it couldn't lift up.
So, with the new depths secured, a brand new clock started ticking. Every single day that the massive 60-meter pool sat empty,
the risk of that buoyancy force pushing it up grew. The only thing heavy enough to counteract that force was the water itself. They had to fill it, and they had to do it fast.
But of course, that created a whole new logistical nightmare. Using just the city's main water supply, it would have taken them 3 months to fill the pool. That was way too long to risk it sitting empty. So, to speed things up, they had to bring in a fleet of over 100 water tankers working around the clock. And even with all that extra help, it still took a full month. And the amount of water we're talking about here is just mind-boggling. 14 million liters. To put that in perspective, that is enough water to fill 6 entire Olympic-sized swimming pools. All of it had to be trucked in and pumped into the structure before physics decided to take over.
So, after years of battling the earth, the water, the laws of physics, and a surprise competitor, the project was finally finished. And the result? Well, it's not just a pool. It is a true marvel of modern engineering.
And there it is, 60 meters deep. The crisis was over, the challenge was met, and the Guinness World Record was officially theirs. Dubai had its record back. So, what's actually inside this thing? Well, it's an entire sunken city for divers to explore. The water is kept at this perfect warm 30 degrees Celsius, and all 14 million liters are completely filtered every 6 hours, using a system developed with help from NASA. It was finally opened up for everyone to enjoy in 2022.
So, the big question, how much did all this cost? Well, the official price tag has never been released. The government of Dubai simply called it a priceless project, which I think speaks volumes about the level of ambition we're talking about here. And that really makes you think, doesn't it? When you look at the years of brutal work, the incredible engineering pivots, and the untold cost, it begs the question, what is the true price of pushing the absolute limits of what's possible, just to etch your name in the record books? That's all for this one. Thanks for tuning in.